What happens when a country runs out of water? Imagine a country so desperate for water that it decides to move entire rivers across thousands of miles. But can you relocate rivers to save entire cities? And what if the solution is so massive it risks creating new disasters? A nation that uproots hundreds of thousands of people, spends billions of dollars and reshapes its very geography, all to solve a crisis that could determine its future. This is the story of China's South to North Water Diversion Project, the largest water transfer scheme in human history. But here's the question: what happens when you try to fix one crisis but create a dozen others in the process? Stick around, because by the end of this video you'll discover the ultimate price China might pay for this mega project, and whether it's a triumph or a ticking time bomb. Welcome to Before and After, where we uncover the dramatic transformations of the world's biggest projects. If you love jaw-dropping construction, mind-blowing economics, and stories of human ingenuity or folly, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Today we're diving into China's South to North Water Diversion Project. But first, let's ask, why would a country need to move water in the first place? Before this mega project, northern China was a ticking time bomb of water scarcity. Picture this. Beijing, a city of over 20 million people, was running out of water fast. The region, home to nearly half of China's population, had only a fraction of the water it needed. Rivers were drying up, deserts were expanding, and groundwater wells were being dug over a kilometer deep, only to find nothing. But why was the north so dry, while the south was drowning in floods? Geography is destiny. Southern China, fed by the mighty Yangtze River, gets drenched with monsoon rains, sometimes too much, causing devastating floods. Meanwhile, the north, including the capital, Beijing, gets less than a fifth of that rainfall. By the early 2000s, northern China's water crisis was threatening food security, industrial growth, and even political stability. So, what do you do when nature deals you a bad hand? Enter the South to North Water Diversion Project. A vision so bold it was first dreamed up by Mao Zedong himself in the early 1950s. His idea? Move water from the flood-prone south to the thirsty north, over 2,700 miles, across mountains, rivers, and cities. It sounds insane, right? But by 2002, China decided to turn this dream into reality, launching the largest water transfer project ever attempted. But how do you even begin to move billions of cubic meters of water across a country? The plan was to build three massive routes. The eastern route, reviving an ancient canal to move water from the Yangtze to Tianjin. The central route, channeling water over 800 miles from the Danjiangkou Reservoir to Beijing, and the western route, still under construction, tackling the rugged Tibetan Plateau. Each route was an engineering marvel, but each came with a cost. What would it take to turn barren land into flowing canals? Before, northern China's landscapes were a testament to despair. Cracked earth, dying crops, and cities on the brink of collapse. After, take a look at this. Over 2,700 miles of canals, tunnels, and aqueducts, moving enough water to fill 70 million Olympic-sized swimming pools. But how do you raise water 100 meters uphill to reach Beijing? Take the central route. Engineers raised the Danjiangkou Dam by over 50 feet to store more water, then built a system of tunnels and aqueducts to defy gravity, using pumps and natural slopes to push water north. Today, this route alone supplies over 70% of Beijing's tap water. But what happens to the people who lived in the path of these canals? Before, over 330,000 people lived in quiet villages along the routes, their lives tied to the land. After, they were uprooted, entire communities relocated to new towns, often against their will. The government called it a necessary sacrifice, but for many it was a loss of identity. Is progress worth this human cost? Now, let's talk about money, because if there's one thing this mega project promised, it was an economic lifeline for northern China. Before the South to North Water Diversion Project, the region's economy was on life support. Choked by water shortages that crippled every sector, industries couldn't expand, farmers couldn't irrigate, and cities couldn't grow. Picture this: factories shutting down for lack of cooling water, fields lying fallow, and urban centers rationing tap water to the point of economic paralysis. But what happens when you pour billions of cubic meters of water into a thirsty economy? After the project kicked into gear, the transformation was nothing short of dramatic. The influx of water has added an estimated 0.1 to 0.3% to China's GDP annually, a boost that translates to billions of dollars in economic activity. Factories are humming, with industrial output in water-scarce regions like Hebei and Henan surging as new water supplies fuel production. Farmland is flourishing, with irrigation expanding agricultural yields by up to 20% in some areas, securing food supplies for millions. In cities like Beijing, they've been given a lifeline, supporting population growth and urban development that would have been impossible without this water. But how does moving water create jobs, and who's really benefiting? The economic ripple effects are staggering. The construction phase alone created hundreds of thousands of jobs, from engineers to laborers, while the operational phase has spurred growth in water management, logistics, and related industries. Northern China's economic hubs have attracted new investments, with businesses flocking to regions now guaranteed water security. But it's not just about jobs. Entire supply chains have been revitalized, from agriculture to manufacturing. So is this economic boom a win-win for everyone? Or are there winners and losers we're not seeing? Here's the catch. While the North reaps the rewards, the South, where the water comes from, faces new economic challenges. Restrictions on industry to protect water quality have slowed growth in southern provinces, raising questions about fairness. Is this economic miracle sustainable, or is it built on borrowed time and borrowed water? Here's where things get messy. Before, the South had an abundant, relatively clean water, while the North struggled with pollution. After, the project has stirred up a hornet's nest of environmental problems. Water transferred north has sometimes been contaminated, threatening ecosystems and fisheries. And in the south, restrictions on industry to protect water quality have sparked economic backlash. So, are we just trading one crisis for another? And then there's energy. Before, northern China burned massive amounts of energy pumping groundwater. After, the project has saved energy, over 900 million kilowatt hours by 2020. But the canals themselves require huge amounts of power to operate. Is this really a green solution, or just a different kind of problem? So here we are, at the heart of the story. A story of ambition, innovation, and risk. China's South to North Water Diversion Project is a tale of incredible highs and devastating lows. On one hand, it's transformed deserts into lifelines, saved cities from collapse, and fueled economic growth that's lifted millions out of hardship. On the other hand, it's displaced over 330,000 people, damaged ecosystems to the brink of collapse, and raised questions about sustainability that no one can fully answer. So what's the real story here? Is this project a visionary triumph that will secure China's future, or a colossal gamble that could collapse under its own weight? Think about it. This project has moved enough water to fill 70 million Olympic-sized swimming pools. But it's also cost over $80 billion, more than 3 times the cost of the Three Gorges Dam. It's saved Beijing from drought, but it's also drained southern rivers, threatening the very ecosystems it relies on. And while the North celebrates its economic boom, the South grapples with industrial restrictions and water shortages of its own. What does this mean for the rest of the world facing water crises? Could this be a blueprint for survival or a warning of what not to do? Stick around, because the ultimate answer, the reward for watching this far, might just change how you see the future of water, not just in China, but everywhere. The answer lies in the future, and it's bigger than China. This mega project shows us what's possible when a nation commits to solving a crisis with sheer willpower and engineering might. But it also shows us what's at stake when we ignore the costs: human, environmental, and economic. The real lesson the world needs to learn from China's before and after, not just to move water, but to innovate sustainably. Imagine a future where desalination plants turn oceans into drinking water, where recycling systems make every drop count, and where global cooperation ensures no one goes thirsty. But here's the question you need to ask. If China's gamble fails, will the world learn from its mistakes or repeat them? China's project is a mirror for humanity, a reflection of our greatest ambitions and our deepest flaws. If it succeeds, it could inspire solutions to water crises worldwide, from California to Cape Town. But if it fails, if pollution worsens, if the South runs dry, if the costs outweigh the benefits, well, then China might face a water crisis even worse than the one it tried to solve, and the world will have another cautionary tale. So what do you